So Elizabeth Warren has been again revealed to be a complete and utter hypocrite. So she's doubling down on her support for Joe Biden, as she thought that, Joe Biden going on Morning Joe and denying that he sexually assaulted, Tara Reid, a former Senate staffer, that Biden appeared credible and convincing to Elizabeth Warren. That's kind of interesting. This quote from, I appreciate the reports of what Miss Reid said. I saw the interview with VP Biden, and he said it never happened. I appreciate that the vice president took a lot of questions, tough questions, Warren said on Monday. This is from Fox News, adding that Biden has faced allegations directly and respectfully. I support the vice president. I support his campaign, and I'm proud to endorse him for president. It's kind of interesting. And now, what tough questions? I mean, yes, Mika Brzezinski did ask Joe Biden if this claim was true, that if, did you sexually assault Tara Reid? He denied it throughout, but Mika Brzezinski also did not bring up any of the corroborating evidence that would have made it a little more difficult for Joe Biden to try to weasel his way through that interview. Tara Reid's mom calling into Larry King. Tara Reid confirmed it was her. Tara Reid telling her brother at the time about the incident, or about the sexual assault, I should say, in 1993. Telling a friend, telling the former neighbor in 95 or 96 about it, which was reported in Business Insider last week. Tara Reid also told a former colleague of hers when she was a staffer in a California state senator's office how when she had worked in DC that she had been, sexually harassed. So there was a lot of, corroborating evidence that Mika Brzezinski, I should say, could have asked Joe Biden about and really held his feet to the fire to try to get some type of, satisfactory answer to why is there all these corroborating evidence at the time or a couple years later that Tara Reid had told, people close to her, her brother, her friend, a former neighbor, a former colleague, that, this did in fact happen. So again, Elizabeth Warren has just been revealed to be a complete hypocrite, willing to say and do anything to, cozy up to Joe Biden and his campaign, and the very misguided, assumption that she's on his list for maybe becoming vice president, or that's not going to be the case. I think, the conventional wisdom that it's probably either going to be Amy Klobuchar or governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. So this is a little speech Elizabeth Warren gave on the Senate floor in 2018, when the Supreme Court was going, or I should say the confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court were happening. I'm just going to give a little listen.
Last week, millions of people were glued to their screens as Dr. Christine Blasey Ford testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Dr. Ford's account of the most traumatic event of her life was harrowing. The pain of retelling this story was evident, and she did it for no personal gain whatsoever. In fact, her life has been
say that about Tara Reid as well, obviously.
Her decision to come forward. The courage she showed was remarkable. Dr. Ford's testimony was credible and compelling. I believe
Dr. Ford. There it is, Elizabeth Warren. Why would you believe Dr. Ford and not Tara Reid? Again, not to say that we shouldn't believe, Dr. Blasey Ford either, but there's a lot more corroborating evidence from my perspective that actually supports Tara Reid's claim that she was in fact sexually assaulted by Joe Biden in the August of 1993. Again, telling her brother at the time about it, telling her friend, telling her mom. Her mom called into Larry King. Tara Reid told a former neighbor, 95 or 96, about this. The neighbor corroborates that. The neighbor is also a supporter of Joe Biden. We have all of these things, and from my recollection, there was a lot less evidence supporting Dr. Ford's claims, but there you have Elizabeth Warren showing her real, hypocriteness again. And so, she's not making a big deal out of this. She thought the Joe Biden was convincing and credible in his denunciations of this. But it's like, Jesus Christ, it just shows what a craven political actor Elizabeth Warren is. Again, I mean, she was all getting all pissed off at Bernie, saying that Bernie called her, basically a sexist, claiming that a, woman couldn't become president, which is just, ridiculous on its face. Bernie actually encouraged Warren to run in 2016 when she didn't, because she was cozying up to Hillary, thinking she was going to get some cabinet position or maybe be offered VP. So Bernie jumped in at that point. Obviously, probably what Bernie was saying is that just in our, current political climate in the United States, it's going to be more difficult for a woman to become president, not that a woman couldn't. As well as on the debate stage when she was calling out, Michael Bloomberg, why aren't you, releasing these former female employees, Bloomberg, from these NDAs so we can actually, see what these people have to say about their time, working for you. And yet, Biden, yeah, he was credible and convincing. He faced a lot of tough questions. I believe Biden. I believed Dr. Blasey Ford. I don't believe Tara Reid so much. Joe Biden's credible. He's a straight shooter. God damn, Elizabeth Warren is so obnoxious. And then, I mean, well, it's a liar supporting another liar. If you really want to think about it, Elizabeth Warren lied, I think it was basically for decades, about having Native American ancestry. I think she claimed she had Cherokee ancestry. She lied about her kids going to private school. I think she even lied about where her dad worked for some weird reason. I'm not sure about that one. Let me know if I'm wrong on that. And then you have a long and decorated history of Joe Biden lying about some huge things, lying about marching in the civil rights movement, lying about going to South Africa and getting arrested, marching with Mandela or supporting him, something like that, lying about his support for the Iraq War, saying that George Bush basically tricked him into it. And I mean, I think Tara Reid's a lot more credible than Joe Biden in this case. And, deep down, if Elizabeth Warren was honest with herself, if she was capable of doing that, she would obviously come to that realization now. But for her, what's more important is propping up the dead and dying corpse of Joe Biden for her own political game. It's disgusting. It's egregious. It's just another example of, unfortunately, most of the people that we have in power within the United States, government, in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, are just craven political opportunists who will say and do anything to elevate their status and cozy up to power whenever it suits them. And this, a lot of these, prominent Me Too liberals, Elizabeth Warren included, totally turn their back on that movement when it suits them politically. And this is just another example of that. And again, I'm not saying, we need to believe, all women, no matter what the claim, without any type of evidence or anything like that. But these claims should be investigated to the fullest extent possible, and people like Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden are just trying to sweep it under the rug as much as possible because it's inconvenient for them politically, when in fact, again, there's a lot of evidence to support Tara Reid's claim, a lot more than there was in fact to support Dr. Blasey Ford's claim against Brett Kavanaugh during that Supreme Court nomination process. So just disgusting on Elizabeth Warren's part, but unfortunately not surprising from my perspective, this type of behavior coming from her. Peace, much love.